So, I gotta be honest, I almost didn't record this episode. Now, not because I didn't know what to say, but I've been saying a softer version of this for years. And to be totally honest, I finally got tired of being soft. So, imposter syndrome is the thing that nobody in the podcasting space wants to talk about directly. We'll talk around it and we'll call it mindset or self-doubt or fear of failure. But nobody really wants to say the thing that I'm about to say. So I'm saying it. Imposter syndrome doesn't go away when you get more experience. It doesn't disappear when your audience grows or your strategy finally clicks or you finally feel like you know what you're doing. It gets quieter and smarter and a whole lot harder to catch. And I say this as someone who has coached hundreds of women through it. I still have seasons where the voice, it gets loud. And the difference is I now know what it's doing. And I want you to know too. Hey friend, welcome back to Christian Podcasting Secrets. I'm your host, Tammy Munson, and without any further ado, let's talk about it. Are you ready? Let's go. So, what do I think imposter syndrome actually is? Not the clinical definition, of course, but what it actually feels like from the inside when you're trying to build something real. It's the voice that shows up right before you hit record and says, "Hey, who do you think you are?" And the worst part is that it doesn't actually say it that bluntly. It's too smart for that now. So it's been with you so long that it knows exactly what language you're actually going to listen to. So it doesn't have to say, "Who do you think you are?" It says things like, "I should probably wait until I know more about this particular topic." It says, "There are amazing people who are doing this way better than I ever can." It says, "My audience is small, so what does it matter?" And of course, my personal favorite is, "I just want to make sure that I'm ready, really ready." It's the same voice, just a different disguise. And here's what makes it so hard to catch is because some of those things, some of those statements, they sound like wisdom. They sound like humility. They sound like being responsible. That's the whole game. It sounds reasonable. And that's how it keeps you stuck without you even noticing it. So I worked with a podcaster last year who had been planning to launch for over 11 months. Yes, 11 months. And every time we talked, the plan was almost ready. She just needed a little more time. She needed to finish her website, and then she needed to purchase better audio equipment, even though I told her she didn't. Then she needed to batch more episodes before we launched. Then she needed to wait until after the holidays, because you don't launch a podcast over the holidays. Then she wanted to wait until after her daughter's high school graduation. Then she wanted to wait until the timing felt right. And every single reason was real. None of it was made up. But none of it was actually the reason that she hadn't actually launched. The reason was the voice that kept finding something that needed to be fixed first. Eventually, the podcast launched, and it was great. And her audience found her quickly because she had been thinking about them for almost a year. But she'll never get those 11 and a half months back. And she knows it. And here's where I want to take this today, because I think the most honest thing that I can say to you about imposter syndrome is actually theological. So here's what I know. You're not the first person to push back on a calling with, "But I'm not the right person for this." Jeremiah chapter 1, verses 6 through 7. Alas, sovereign Lord, I said, I do not know how to speak. I am too young. But the Lord said to me, do not say I am too young. You must go to everyone I send you to and say whatever I command you. Sound familiar? I know, right? And Moses, same thing. Exodus chapter 4, verses 10 through 12. Moses said to the Lord, pardon your servant, Lord. I have never been eloquent, nor in the past, nor since you have spoken to your servant. I am slow of speech and tongue. The Lord said to him, who gave human beings their mouths? Who makes them deaf or mute? Who gives them sight or makes them blind? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I will help you speak and will teach you what to say. I have never been eloquent. How many times have I heard that one? Moses. Can you imagine Moses standing in front of a burning bush and still workshopping his reasons why he's not the right fit? Oh, bless his sweet little heart. But here's what I need you to notice about both of these moments in Scripture is God's answer to the I can't was not, yes, you can. It was not, but instead it was, I know, go anyway. I'll be with you. So that's it. That's the whole answer. It's not, you're more capable than you think. Believe in yourself, but I know, go anyway. I'll be with you. And we've talked about this on this show many times. The calling doesn't wait for you to feel qualified. It never has, and it never will. Feeling unqualified is not the signal to wait. It's almost always the signal that you're standing at the right door. So what's the actual shift here? Because I don't want to leave you with something vague. So what the shift is not is going from feeling like an imposter to suddenly feeling 100% confident. That shift may never fully come. And waiting for it is the whole trap, I believe. The shift actually is asking, am I qualified? To asking, am I called? Those are different questions. And only one of them has an answer you can actually count on. Because qualified, it's a moving target. It's always just a little further from where you actually are. Called is something you either know or you don't know. And most of you listening to this podcast, you know. You're here. You're building. You're showing up even when the voice inside of you tells you that you probably should not. That's not someone waiting to feel qualified. That's someone who is called and keeps going anyway. So if you're listening to this episode and quietly thinking, hey, Tammy, that's exactly where I am, I want you to do something with that. So as you know, I have several spots every month for a free strategy call with me. Now, these spots generally go fast and I don't reopen them up until the next month. So what happens on this call? Well, you tell me about where your podcast is, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I see and what to do next. It's not generic advice or a framework that I expect you to apply to your podcast, but actual guidance on what your next step should be. 30 minutes for free. All you have to do is go to wildfirecreativecompany.com/free strategy call and grab an open spot before they're gone for June. The link is in the show notes. So let's get practical, okay? 3 steps. Step 1, name the disguise. What is the specific thing imposter syndrome is currently saying to you? Not the generic version of that, the specific one. Is it my niche isn't clear enough? Is it I'm not as far along as others in the same space? I want you to write it down. So actually write it down. And I want you to use the actual sentence it's using. Because you cannot push back on something you haven't named clearly. Okay. Step 2. Ask the real question. Look at what you wrote down and ask, is this a qualification issue or a calling issue? If it's a genuine skill gap that you can close with a specific action, then I want you to close it. That's not imposter syndrome. That's a to-do list. But if it's a feeling, a sense you're not quite enough, you're not quite ready, you're not the right person, that is not information. That's the voice. And that voice does not get a vote. Full stop. Okay, step 3. I want you to do the thing anyway. Not do it when you feel ready. That's just step 2 of the same trap. But do it while the voice is still talking. Record the episode, hit publish, send the email, make the offer, put a video up on YouTube. Whatever it is. Moses didn't stop hearing objections the moment he agreed to go. He went anyway. And the voice stopped having so much power over him because that's what action does. You see, it doesn't silence the voice. It just puts you somewhere that the voice just doesn't stop you anymore. So here's what I want you to do this week. Find the thing that you've been putting off because you haven't felt ready. I know that you know exactly what I'm talking about. I would bet that you didn't even have to think about it just now. And I want you to do one concrete part of it. Not the whole thing, one part. Record that episode. Write that email. It's not because you feel qualified, but because you're called. And the world needs what you're building more than it needs you to feel ready first. So friend, you are not an imposter. You are someone who got called before she felt ready, who heard every reason to wait and to keep showing up anyway. That is not a small thing. That's the whole story of every woman who has ever built something that actually mattered. The voice is going to keep talking. That's fine. You just don't have to let it drive anymore. So name it. Ask the real question. Do the thing anyway. Not because you feel ready, but because you're called to it. God is with you. Thank you so much for listening today to this episode. This one really mattered to me to record, and I hope it mattered to you to hear. Remember, you can love Jesus and analytics, and life is way too short for boring podcasts. I'll talk to you next time. Bye, y'all.